Rev up your engines! Well, it looks like I spoke too soon. It looks like the government is going to try to force everybody to buy electric cars because the EPA is planning on releasing extremely strict emission standards so that the only cars you could drive would be an electric car, because the gasoline cars wouldn't be able to meet these strict emission standards. I don't know exactly what they are. What do they say? You got a car, it's got to get 500 miles a gallon or you can't buy it, right? And then they're going to make a car like that unless it weighs 50 pounds and isn't going to take you anywhere. And of course, it'll be for light-duty vehicles, the stuff you and me drive. They're not going to mess with the big 18-wheelers and all that stuff, right? That's all business. They can do whatever they want, right? But go after the little guy, light-duty vehicles, unless it gets this phenomenal no pollution, so you go out and buy an electric car. Well, let me tell you something. This is a political hot potato. I asked all my customers. None of them said they were going to buy an electric car. They did a survey the other day. 70% of Americans said an electric car will not be their next car. The technology isn't proven. They don't even know what kind of batteries they're going to be using for this stuff, right? So, the government's trying to force people's hands. And here's what the EPA said. By 2032, these rules would ensure 67% of new vehicles will be electric. Well, seeing that this is a political hot potato and they're laws people make, well, when the winds of change blow and the politicians start bending in the opposite direction, guess what? We the people will voice and say, this is baloney. We're fed up with this government intervention and everything. And guess what? They can just repeal the laws, just like they always keep changing things here and there. Look at the Europeans. They said, oh, well, we're not going to allow the sale of gasoline engines by 2035. But now even the Germans are saying, hold up. We're spending a bunch of money making alternative fuels. Why would we make cars to run on alternative fuels if you tell them we can't sell them past 2035? So even the Germans have appealed that. It's 2035, 12 years from now, and they've already backtracked on it. And that's in Europe, where they're supposedly green as can be. Here in the United States, the government may try to force us to buy electric cars, but let me tell you something, government, you are elected by us, and if we don't like it, we can unelect you, put somebody else in, and we'll say, oh, that's a bunch of nonsense, forget that crap. Technology that isn't proven, it doesn't work. There's no infrastructure for it. You can try to make a law that says everybody has to eat 50 ice cream cones a day, but you can't force the people to eat the ice creams if they don't like ice cream, or if they're lactose intolerant. So let's see what happens by 2032, 2035 here with their laws, how they change from one side to another. Because if Americans don't want to deal with this garbage being thrown down their throats, hey, all we got to do is vote against it, and that's the end of it. Now, of course, the corporations, they only want to make money. They'd love it if the government says, by 2035, everyone has to buy an electric car. They'll sell you an electric car. Might be an absolute piece of crap electric car, but they'll be glad to sell you one. Wonderful man sent me an email, and he says, here's a story from Australia about a 2009 Land Cruiser. Beautiful car. I thought I'd take it into Toyota to get it served. Their solution was to unplug my battery to reset me. I took it to a 4x4 shop, and they plugged it back all together again and said, we don't know what's wrong with it. One day, I looked under the hood, searched, and finally, I found a tiny, inconspicuous vacuum line that was unplugged and kinked over. There was no accident. After I plugged it in, the car ran perfectly. Has it dead before I took it to the Toyota dealership for service. It's, in my opinion, a technician or someone removed it and kinked the hose to make the car run like crap. So I'd keep going back and spending money. Just thought I'd share my story. Well, here I am sharing it with all you people out there. Generally, in this world, absolute coincidences don't happen very often. He takes his vehicle in just to get it serviced. It had no problems. He gets it back, it's running like crap, right? He finds out weeks later, this hose was pulled off and kinked up, so it didn't work right. All you had to do was unkink it and plug it in. That's not a coincidence. Now, maybe it wasn't crookedness. Maybe it was just stupidity. When the guy was servicing the car, changing the oil and stuff, maybe he just knocked it off, but he did say it was kinked. And if you knocked it off, it would be off. It wouldn't be kinked up, right? Kinking up means you get it and you twist the hose together and tie it. If you just left it loose, it'd be relatively easier to find because it would show it was running too lean, and any mechanic would look at the codes and say, oh, it's running lean, probably got a vacuum leak, and they'd see the vacuum leak. But if you kink it, then it won't be sucking air there, but it won't be hooked up to the other end. So the other end will cause problems in it running because the sensors don't get the right amount of information. It'll run bad, but it's going to be a lot harder to find that leak because the leak isn't there because it's kinked up together. It's that it's not plugged into the sensor anymore. So whoever did that obviously knew what they were doing if it was really kinked up tight. Pulled it off, kinked it, I mean, that's what crooked mechanics do, right? It's unfortunate. It was at a Toyota dealership. You see this stuff all the time now. They just want to make money. You know, since coronavirus, they're all hot and hired and make as much money as they possibly can. And they're doing things like that. Any place you go, if your car's running fine, you get it back and it isn't running right, they screwed something up. 99.99% of the time, they screwed something up. And if you work on your own car, let's say you change the spark plugs and it's running okay, but you change the spark plugs, then it runs like crap, realize the work you did, something has gone wrong. Maybe the ignition coil got broken when you pulled off. Maybe you knocked the vacuum line, but go back and look where you were, because coincidences don't really happen all that often. Well, Toyota's going to launch 10 new EV vehicles by 2026, by 3 years now. Of course, they're trying to play catch up, right? Well, to me, I still think they're making a smart move, because why get involved in the beginning when you don't know what's going to work? Is this one going to work? Is that one going to work? No one knows which one's going to work, right? If you come in later with better technology, that could be the thing. There's no infrastructure for electric cars. Maybe we'll be forced to buy them decades from now, right? But Toyota takes the slow and cautious approach. They can see what's good and then build upon that. I'll tell you one thing. If I ever bought an electric car, I would buy a Toyota electric car to see what they're like, because their regular cars are the best out there. Over history, for sure. Toyota Corollas, they sold more cars than anybody kind of car ever made anytime, anywhere, right? So if they make a Toyota Corolla electric car, if I was going to buy an electric car, I'll tell you, that'd be the one I'd buy. I wouldn't buy a Volkswagen. I certainly wouldn't buy a Tesla. I wouldn't buy a Ford. Oh, we're made in Mexico, says Ford. Yeah, great quality, right? 10 new battery EV models. They start improving them as time goes on. Hey, maybe I'll end up buying an electric Toyota a long time from now when there's an infrastructure and it's set up. Of course, as people get old, I'm getting old, right? So when I travel between Tennessee and Rhode Island, maybe it'll come to a point that I'll have an electric car in Tennessee, an electric car in Rhode Island, and I'll just fly back and forth because I'll be too old to do the long distance driving anyways. You know, there's not going to be electric trains because the United States doesn't care about trains. We never have. They tore them all up after World War II just to get us to buy cars. So we'll see what happens, but hey, the point that they're going to make more, maybe they're coming in at the right time now. Don't come in the beginning when who knows what's going to work. Come in when it starts to, the cards start to show, where you can say this type of battery we can use, this type of motor, or should we make them just for the city, or should we make them for the highway? I think it's a smart move. Now their new CEO says they're planning on building 1.5 million electric vehicles by 2026. It's 3 years away. Maybe they will. You know, like I said, if I was going to buy an electric car, it sure would be a Toyota. I wouldn't be buying any of those other ones. They don't have a very good track record, and Toyota's got a pretty good track record. But even then, let me tell you, I'll wait till they build them a while and see how they hold up. Then I'll buy a used one, just like I do regular cars. Because you save so much money buying a used car. Market today is a little bit squirrely, but eventually it's got to settle out. Why are people going to be paying more money for a used car than a new one? It's just absurd. That's going to fade away. For sure. Joe 267 says, my coolant tank is bubbling. I got a 2001 GMC Sierra diesel. Reservoir tank spits up and a low coolant light comes on. There are constant bubbles in the tank. He did say he did a block leak test and it didn't show that the head gasket was blown. Now, it doesn't mean it's not blown. It can be blown in different ways and you're not going to notice it from that. But if your coolant tank is bubbling, you have a cooling system problem. It could be as simple as your radiator cap is worn. And if it's worn, it'll let air get and bubble through. Simple fix, right? Could be that your coolant reservoir has a crack and it's got a little leak somewhere. Pressure test the system numero uno. You'll probably find something is leaking. Of course, pressure test the cap. Or if you don't have a cap pressure tester, they're kind of hard to find. Just go to an auto parts store and buy a new radiator cap. If you buy that and put it on and it fixes it, woo-wee, there's a cheap fix for you, right? But you do have a problem. It should never bubble. And it bubbles because generally, if you don't have a blown head gasket, I'm not saying that test is 100% accurate, so you might. But if you don't have a blown head gasket, then you got something in the system that's making it overheat. Either there's a leak, and when you lose pressure, it will bubble. It's a sealed system. It won't bubble when it's sealed. But if there's a leak anywhere, it starts to bubble because it's letting the pressure off. And once the pressure is left off, if you know physics, higher pressures, the water can get hotter. But when you get lower pressure and there's a leak, the water will start boiling because it will boil when it doesn't have all that extra pressure in it. J. Riley Prod says, I'm told I need a rear main seal replacement. I got a 2000 Honda Civic. Guy says, well, my rear main seal, the engine's leaking. It's going to be $1,200 to pull the transmission. Should I spend all this money on this old car? What should I do? Forget everything. Start with this. Change the oil and filter and put a bottle of AT205 Reseal. AT like Albert Thomas, the number 205 Reseal. It's a company called ATP Products out of Chicago. You can find it on Amazon. Once you change the oil and filter, you add that little bottle. Give it 250 miles of driving. It will often rejuvenate the seal and it won't leak. And if it does stop the leak, great. The next time you change the oil, every time you change the oil and filter, just add a bottle of that and that'll keep the seal clean. If it doesn't, the only way you're going to be able to fix it is by pulling the transmission out and doing a seal. And it's a pretty expensive job. But $1,200 is a little pricey. You might try a transmission shop that pull transmissions all the time because they generally can do it faster and they probably charge a lot less. Just say, I want my tranny pulled, change the rear mainsail on the engine, put the tranny back on, see what they charge. They would charge you a lot less than $1,200 in most cases. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.